Our
George
system
Zimmerman
is set
wouldn't
up
be in,
to protect those that do things like that,
or
which is why it
maybe
needs to be
they
fixed.
get overzealous.
Come
And
on,
they try
man.
to
You
go
can,
for the
you got to
gusto.
stop moving this goalpost. You are
Ah,
tearing up the
Jesus.
turf.
Why is
waited
it
a
every
long
time
He's
time.
And
out
someone
on
in
brings up a
Football
cities.
valid
Sunday of
point?
all days to be messing with the
Ah,
field like
Jesus.
this.
Ah,
I
come on.
waited. I
Actually, take
waited.
over.
You said that the system should be brought down. You agreed with that when we kind of when Rexy was saying that. Is that correct? Why? So I'm curious. Why do you think it needs to be brought down, if not because of the systemic racism?
Because that I believe that if you start fresh and say these are the guidelines, nobody gets an exception. Everybody gets held to the same standard. Then we can operate. We can operate within inside the confines of the game.
True.
So I have a question in regards to that then, because that's obvious. Then your kind of political goal, not goal, but that's kind of what you push. Do you then also vote and do things that benefit anti-racism when you vote currently?
You're going to have to expand on that further if you're suggesting who I vote for.
No, not at all. I don't care who
Oh,
you
okay.
vote for, and I'm not
Okay,
trying
yeah.
to, I will not make this a political thing. I just mean
Sure.
when you vote in general, do you vote with the other marginalized communities in mind? Do you vote with, you know, how we can bring down the system? Because anarchy and, you know, the big hoo-ah fight to bring down the system is great in theory, but how do we do it? How do we really make those changes when we don't want to go fight and necessarily, you know, bring arms into it?
He's saying that. He's saying for
It starts on a local
person
level.
to be responsible for themselves and hold the law, the people accountable for the way they vote, behave, and treat people. That would make a difference. It's called education. I just want to say something because I waited a really long time. I want to say this. The lady that was so angered and speaking earlier, she has a right to her anger. But what she doesn't understand is white people are just as angry as she is that they hurt Black people like that. That's the problem here. When you understand that there's many white people that were against those powerful white people that were the elites and in charge at the time and beat and brutally murdered Black people. When you understand, we get that and we understand it. And there were many white people there that protected those Black people, that brought them in their homes, that educated them. There's so many sides to the story, but when we can say, yeah, we get it, we're with you, we'll fight on your side for that, you need to hear that and not put it in a color box. What it was evil. And it was powerful, elitist people in evil positions doing evil things, and no one stopped them. That is the point. And what this guy conservative is saying, it is still happening today. It's not only happening in white people, it's happening in Black people, it's happening in Hamas, Israel, any person with hatred in their heart, okay, a religious belief, whatever it is, if it has hatred in it and thinks they can murder a child, a person in the name of some belief or color or whatever, that's hate. Your fight isn't against the color of somebody's skin. It is against hate. What do we do about that? This guy conservative is saying it is still in our system today. It is the reason why we are fighting about it. And we're not standing together and saying enough is enough. We have to vote appropriately. We have to stand up and speak about it. We've got to realize it's not about color, okay? It is about hate and people who can get together in one group with power and harm other people. And it is going on now. That's all I got to say.
I have a question for you, Nancy, because, and I felt the passion in what you were saying, anger, whatever emotion. I'm not saying that. I'm just letting you know I did hear the passion in what you're saying. But it sounds like you're centering yourself and also centering conservative when we're talking about the problematic white people that do uphold those systems. And I would ask you not to do that, because if you're not who we're talking about, then when you come up here and speak against it, it's just sounding like opposition.
Well,
You know,
I'm just going to say to
understand.
you, I'm just
I
going to
think
say
I'm not done.
you,
I'm
wait,
not done. I listened
wait.
to that whole thing you said. Please mute for
Okay.
just a moment, Nancy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. I know it's hard. It's hard to be respectful. I understand. You've got a lot of passion. But what you're doing is erasing the POC voice and the Indigenous voice when you do that. And it's very dangerous, especially as white women, to do that. Yes,
do
what
what?
happened? Yes,
To
what
do
happened
what?
was bad. I'm not done, ma'am. Please
I'm
be
asking
respectful.
to do what? To do what?
What do you mean? When you come up here and speak the way you're speaking.
When you put me in a box of
I did not,
conservative-
ma'am. Just go ahead and mute yourself, because I didn't put you in a box. I'm speaking directly to the words that you used.
Okay.
Okay, this is all you. I don't know anything else about your life other than the words that came out of your mouth just now.
That's right.
Okay, so go ahead and mute and stop assuming. Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me. You don't get to tell me when to mute and when to assume. Okay. You put
Okay,
me.
but I do, so you can mute.
She's a co-host,
You
so
put
she
me
does.
in a box of
You can mute. I do.
conservatism.
As a co-host, I do. So you can mute.
I'm a
You can mute.
human. I'm a human.
Cool.
That's what I am.
And humans can push a mute button. So go ahead. Were you
Okay.
done, Silver?
I think so. You kind of that. I think she just really is proving the point. Like I said, platforming, especially women like this, so that the 186 people can hear that problematic piece of erasing the POC experience, erasing the Indigenous experience, and those types of dangerous things. This is those kind of micro wording that needs to be addressed. Because again, she's very angry, and it sounds like she's angry for the same reasons we are. We're just choosing not to erase other people's experience with it. And that was all.
Okay, so see now, Nancy, go ahead. You may unmute and you may respond.
I will say this, okay? I'm not coming from a conservative, Republican, Democrat. I'm not coming from any avenue, okay? I didn't get to pass high school and get my diploma because I went to a Black person's funeral. When I was told, okay, that I would not pass for the year, I took it. And when my mother was threatened to be thrown out because we had Black family friends in and out of our house, my mother said, "You try it." When I've lived my life to defend Black people, okay, lived my life, make a point out of it, and then I hear that all white people are racist, has nothing to do with political anything. It has to do with humanity. It has to do with knowing what's right, knowing what's wrong, and how you were raised. If your head was filled with hatred, okay, and you're going to spew that out about a color or a religion, I would say there's a problem. That's all
Who's
I'm
doing
saying.
that? Who's
That's
doing
all
that,
I'm saying.
Nancy?
I heard the first woman who spoke say that all white people were racist. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I'm one of them, and I'm only speaking for myself.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Nancy, if I may, Rixie,
Mm,
have
go
you ever
ahead.
heard of the? This is progressive. Oh shoot, she ran. I was gonna ask her if she ever heard of a hit dog hollering, because that's what she's doing right now. And there were plenty of times in the past where I've felt like they were singling me out, but it was just to single the people out that don't have the cojones to stand up. So I will. Go ahead, Rick.
Brought somebody in. And then I seen them, they just brought somebody in. It was right outside of like the helicopter pad.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I get to see it land. Now it just landed at Buffalo.
Is that the
General at
news?
hospital.
Who's getting brought in by a helicopter pad?
Sorry.
Oh, that's you. Okay. I just want to make sure. I was like, oh gosh. So
I'm
that,
Roxy.
that
I'm
was
Roxy. I just wanted to be up here when Nancy was up here because I'm a PLC person, and it was kind of funny when she brought up like tokenization with black person. I'm just like, okay, that had nothing to do with the question. That had nothing to do with the topic. But I just want to say, John, I love your lives and keep hosting them. You guys are doing great up here, and I thank you all for y'all support and actually willing to learn and listen. And we
Thank
need
you.
more people like you guys. And I just want to say, you all are joined to the cookout. Are invited to the cookout.
I'll bring the potato salad with raisins.
Oh my God.
God damn it, Tik.
You just
We'll see people. We don't eat potato salad.
Sorry. If I could really quickly, and I'm going to drop, I just want to reiterate what I said because apparently Nancy did not hear what I said. Yes, all white people are racist. But when we say all white people, we don't mean you individually, Nancy. We don't mean your kid or your grandma, probably your grandma, but so on and so forth. We mean whiteness as a whole, the construct of whiteness as a whole. That is what we are talking about. If it does not apply to you, if it's not you, then why would you jump up in this box and act like we were talking about you? The only reason that it hit your nerve, Miss Nancy, is because you must be doing something to cause it to hit your nerve, or it wouldn't have hit your nerve, because there's many, many white people out there in the comments on this panel. It doesn't hit their nerves when people say all white people, because they know they're not talking about them. They're talking about those other white people. It's not that hard. It's really not. It's whiteness as a construct, not you. Whiteness as a whole, the behavior, the attitudes, the crying, the tears, the sense of entitlement, all of that stuff. That's whiteness as a whole. That's what we're talking about. Thinking like the guy earlier who came up in here and just started yelling just right off the bat. Just
Well, that's like, it used to hit my nerves until I realized it wasn't because of other people coming at me. It was because of me feeling guilty for things that I did before I knew better.
Correct.
So to me, a lot of the times when people are feeling guilty, it's because they're looking within themselves and realizing the things that they did in the past that they don't agree with now, that made things worse for other people.
I think
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, when you begin to do the work, when you feel that deconstruction begin to happen, those things don't trigger you anymore, and you don't need to center yourself in it because you're no longer there. But
correct. But a lot of people at the beginning, they get defensive.
Where I sit in spaces like this, and I do still feel triggered. And when I feel that way, I stop and I really listen hard to what the other person is saying, because is that something I need to deconstruct? I've still got work to do, and I'm going to have work to do for a very long time.
Right.
I'm 46 years old. It's 46 years of indoctrination into that system. And I joined the military. I served 8 years in the military. So I had 8 years of indoctrinated hatred unfortunately, towards a very specific group of people. When we look at like Middle Eastern Islamic, because when we deployed to Iraq, that was pushed into us so hard that when I came back, I had a hard time being around people that I viewed as looking Middle Eastern. It would stress me out, and I had to unpack the hell out of that. And it's very important that we recognize that those types of things within ourselves, those triggers when things are said, because we're all on different levels of deconstructing.
Exactly. And some of the times it's like, I may think of certain things that I did that, trigger me, but then hearing your story may be something that triggers something totally different.
Right. And it's sometimes really hard to sit with yourself. You have to really be able to sit with the uncomfortability of things that you may have done, things that you may have thought, things that your family may have done or said. You really have to be able to break that down, look at it, separate yourself from it, and learn to do better and be better. Like you really have to. And unless you can get comfortable with recognizing it, seeing it, noticing it, and talking about it, you're never going to be able to break it down.
Change never came from your comfort zone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all know that, if you're uncomfortable, man, be uncomfortable. Sit in here, sit with us in that discomfort, sit in here and unpack it. I know, like, we talk about how you guys were saying, and I feel like it's so sad that when there are POC people on the panel, white people don't want to come up and talk for whatever reason. They feel comfortable being super racist around us, which makes me mad, because if you're comfortable being racist around me, I'm not doing my job.
Right.
Well, another thing is you also have the other side where you have people that want to pander and become a white savior type of thing, where it's not about that.
Nancy wanted that cookie. She kept saying, conservatives, he said the same thing as me. Oh, I'm saying the same thing as he did. I want a cookie. Yeah. It's kind of grody to watch, honestly.
Wait, also, was I the only one that didn't think they were saying the same things?
No, they weren't.
Okay, that's why I was like, damn, I really wasn't. I thought I just wasn't listening to conservative. Like, I was like, I feel bad now. Apparently, I wasn't listening to it.
Right. I thought conservative.
Real quick, guys. We have Frank in the comments. The only racist people are the Democrats. Come up in and show us the way, Frank. I sent you an invite.
On that note, I'm going to go ahead and drop. Everybody tap the screen. We're at 58.6 likes. I'm pretty sure if you don't get us to 65 by, I don't know, it's 11:30 my time. I would say by 11:45. Lucy's probably going to cut them comments off. I don't know how or I would do it. Tap, tap, tap. Share the live. You can hit copy. If you hit the little arrow and you hit copy link, it counts as a share, right? And you can do that over and over and over. You can also share it to yourself. You can share it to your backup account. You can share it through Facebook to yourself, right? Share, share, share. Tap, tap, tap.
I love that. Thank you so much. Because I know I can't tap the live up here, but I'm trying to. Right. I love this live. This is amazing.
So one of the things I wanted to add on to Grammy
Thank you, Grammy.
And this is going to upset a lot of people, and that's okay. But it is every white person in this country. It is. Even though, and that's the thing, maybe you get, to a point when you're doing the work to deconstruct, is that you now can understand without getting all butthurt, without getting your feelings in some kind of way, that we were, as white people, we were taught so many things that we didn't realize we were even being taught. Right? So when you don't know all the ways in which white supremacy has creeped into your life, or into our way of life, I should say, and into every system that we come across, you don't know it till you know it. right? It wasn't the type of white supremacy that is so ingrained in the United States isn't the kind that you're going to get if you go to a Triple K meeting, right? Like that's blatant, in your face, done with intention, or not. Well, it's all done with intention, but it's done intentionally loud. Whereas what we find in our systems is not done intentionally loud. It's done quietly. It's how things are applied. Like, one of the other things that people always like to bring up is, show me a law where my rights are different than yours, blah, 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 right? Like, cool, there isn't one. But there is actual undeniable facts and data that shows that the application of these laws is not shared and expressed equally across the board. We know this is a fact.
And
Okay,
the
right,
fact
guys, real quick.
able to
we have-
say that and
hold on.
recognize that,
Hold on.
that's been
Oh,
unspoken.
okay. I was gonna say we haven't spoken. Everybody, Savvy, go ahead if you'd like to speak, and then we'll get the Mister and then Chef.
I will say, hey, I'm just here for this. I really appreciate, I genuinely, to hear. Excuse me, I haven't spoken all day today until now, so forgive my voice.
And I think the last time you spoke
But
was to me,
I
right?
do.
This morning.
I do appreciate, and so many different perspectives that are being brought forward, that are unspoken, that are being spoken on today. And so again, I'm here for this, and yeah.
Thank you.
Can I reply to user whatever their social
Go
security
ahead.
number?
You got it.
So why?
What did they say?
Why? Then you better put all races in there to deconstruct. Okay, cool. I don't care, whatever. But why? See, this is the problem that the white community continues to have. Why can't we just talk about our own racism, which is literally in all of us, in all of our systems, without putting any kind of responsibility on any other group? Like, why is that so hard?
Because that would involve looking in the mirror, Rexy.
I mean, I just can't imagine. I've raised 2 amazing sons. They're adults now, and I just cannot imagine going to them
not
and
jobless.
saying, huh?
But it
My
goes
bad,
back
Rexy.
to as well,
One
if the shoe doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. You know what I mean? And people who become more defensive, you're defensive for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, if it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. And that is an understanding that I think is overlooked more than it should be. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. But the fact that you want to argue or defend something, you know what I mean? Like, it applies. Like, this is what, like, it's kind of counterproductive, if you will. I hear you. I really do. Hey, but people don't see color either,
All right, so go ahead, Trouble.
Oh no, I had something to say. Conservative. I wanted to talk to Nancy conservative. I had questions, but they're gone, and I have to go to work. So
Sorry, man.
it's all right, John. It's not your fault they ran, pussies.
All right, I'm gonna. If you have anything else, okay. Trouble left. So, Chef, hi. What are your
Hey,
thoughts on the
how y'all
background?
doing?
Good. How are you?
Listen, I love this. Listen, I have such a good time coming into these spaces, getting like trying to really understand white people like wholeheartedly, right? This is how I see things, and I'm gonna try to break it down for people because I really do. I'm one of those critical thinkers. I overthink everything. To me, there are two different types of white people. There's a supremacist type white person, and then there's a racist white person. Racist white person, you just don't like me because of the color of my skin. Okay, that's racism to me. You don't like you. I don't give a shit whether you know me or not. You don't like me because of the color of my skin. Period. Now you have the people that think they're superior. They know they can get. They know they can get away with anything because of their whiteness, but they not racist. They just know they can get. They can get. You know, they can get. They can go and rob somebody. What nobody say shit about it. They can go do all of these things, and we can always come up with a way to justify what they did. Those are the type of white people that's cool because they understand that they can get away with anything, but they not racist though. You know what I'm saying? They like me, they cool, but they know if I get in trouble, I'm on my own. But they not racist. And that is what I'm hearing constantly from people, that I talk to and I'm in these lives and everything, is that you don't have to be racist to be white, but you are superior because it's embedded in your culture. You can't get away from it. You can do it. Like, you don't have no problem going to the malls. You don't have no problem being 50 deep in your car. There's some shit that y'all can do, and you know it because you white. And that's cool, is what I'm saying. Because we can't get away from this. What I don't
Who dropped her?
What happened?
Lisa dropped her. That was incredible. I'm confused. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very confused.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, we have Miss Cake. Hold on a second. Let's try to find. Okay.
Because it really me. And when I tried to think about, right, so we know we're in a system of privilege. Is she simply saying that we know we exist in that? I mean, I know I exist in this system. I know, like when Grammy read that beautifully worded thing about mothers' white privilege, I really kind of equated what she was saying. Like, I understand I live in that world, but I don't understand how that's cool. Like, I think that's the part I'm missing.
Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that because I honestly I didn't understand.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just couldn't follow that. So I don't have a response.
Okay. Then at least I feel like I'm not the only one then, because I really
So
don't
what
even know
part?
what to say or think or feel.
So what part was that? I'm sorry.
Just everything she said, because, when we look at, like, we know we have white privilege. Go ahead.
She was talking out of both sides of her mouth. First, she explained the two types of racist people that she's encountered. And then on the other hand, she goes, well, we could be racist too. And, she was just, it was like she was saying, you know what I'm saying? And she said, there's overt racists and then there's covert ones, and they're okay. And that I wasn't too good with. Because you could be a nice racist. You could be a nice person and you're doing subtle microaggressions. And you're not deconstructing. You're not really anti-racist. I don't care how nice you are. I'd rather you just call me whatever you're gonna call me than just be that. I feel that those are worse. So if you're gonna talk out of both sides of your mouth and you're a BIPOC person, you haven't made your mind up yet. And I couldn't just continue to have that. And plus, she was monologuing. Okay, please keep hitting the last room. We're at 65K.
May I say
Thank you.
something, please?
Sure.
I think what she was trying to say was there are blatant white people that don't like people of color, no matter what you are. And when she meant by the other racist people, I'm thinking what she was trying to say is Jill and I are very cool. We hang out together, we party together, we do whatever together. But she knows that if she does something wrong or contrary, that she's not going to get in as much trouble as I would. I'm thinking that's what she was trying to say.
I
You understand what I'm
think that
saying?
makes sense. That makes a whole lot more sense because she
That's
was saying that like if she got in trouble, her friend would be like, "Oh well, good luck with that," type thing.
no,
And I
no,
was like,
no, no. That's not
okay,
what she was saying.
no,
That
okay,
came out of her mouth, but I don't think that's what she was saying.
okay, okay.
Because as a woman of color, I also have white friends, and we party together. We get down together and everything, and we have even scrapped together. As I must say, fighting is a. But she also knows that if we both went out and stole something, let's say like at a department store, she's more likely going to get the slap on the wrist as to where my black ass is going to go to jail. See
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's what she was trying to say, and she just wasn't putting it right.
Okay.
It's the
Thank
same
you.
thing.
Thank you. I think that makes that I can understand, that I can get behind. That makes so much sense. Thank you.
Okay. But and I
Okay,
also
so
like to
Okay,
BIPOC
guys,
say
we're
that
people.
I
gonna.
enjoy this live also, and I like to thank all of you. Um, I don't want to say white people, Caucasian people, whatever you want me to call you, I will respectfully call you that. But I do want to respectfully say that I enjoy the conversation that is happening at the moment. It was something that I was just sliding through and decided I listened to what was being said. And I applaud you very much for being honest with yourselves and with other people. And to save this planet, not just the United States, but this planet, this is the kind of conversations we so deeply need to have.
Thank you.
That's all I like to
appreciate
say.
the kind words.
I'm through.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Bumblebee. Okay, so Craig Grimes.
Yes,
How's
sir.
it?
Do you know how to drop yourself?
Yeah.
John, you have to fix it so that they're not blocked out of the box, but just dropped. I don't know if you got that update. I don't enjoy
I just dropped
dropping.
him out of the box.
All right.
Greg, so what are your thoughts on the question I have up here?
Well, honestly, my friend, the way I see it is stupidity holds no racial boundaries. There are a lot of stupid people out there who make dumb decisions, and it doesn't matter what the color of their skin is.
But we're talking more like we're talking about like white supremacy and how it's embedded in the system.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is it all comes down to the individual person, not necessarily the color of their skin, as to how they want to react or act to something. I have 5 kids, and I've taught my kids that you don't judge a person by the color of their skin, you judge them by the color of their character.
Content of their character. I got you. Okay. Rexy?
How does that help when it comes to the white supremacy that is in systems?
Well, if they have good content or content of character, for lack of better wording, excuse me, if they have good character, they should be able to judge for themselves. I mean, it's just like if you, for instance, if you're a person that likes to go to church on Sundays, not everybody likes to go to church on Sundays. So the content of that person's character can judge for themselves whether or not they want to do something, go to church on Sundays, or any of the rest of that garbage.
Okay, so when we're talking about systems, though, we're talking about like the education system, the judicial system. I don't know why I can't currently at the moment think of other systems because there's about 8 million of them, but all of the systems. You're talking about like what somebody does, like just because, like going to church or whatever.
No,
I'm talking right. So we're talking about like white supremacy in our systems. Like, do you acknowledge that it's there? I guess let's go back a little bit. Do you understand like what we mean by like white supremacy being the root and kind of driving force, actually, really, in a lot of our systems in this country?
I understand that it is a root. I don't think it's the driving root. But what I'm saying, though, as going back to the content of the character of the person, they should be able to basically figure out that that's garbage. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, when you say that the person, what are you talking about? Like you're talking about like two people talking should be able to figure out the other person's an asshole, or I don't know what you mean by.
No, what I'm saying is if you're in a group and the group is white supremacist, and you as a person are in this group and you realize something in your head tells you that is wrong, you as that person should, if you got it in your gut to get the hell out, then get out.
Oh, I agree with that. But like when it comes to things like white supremacy in our systems, like it's like so much of it is so normalized to those of us that are white that we don't even we are unable to instinctively know that this is white supremacy.
Honestly, I don't see that as I kind of see that as an education problem.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely is. Agree. Like the only way to uneducate the white supremacy that was taught that was just taught to us by just the world around us, not blaming anyone's parents directly or whatever, is to essentially re-educate, right? But a part of that re-education process is we have to unlearn some of the things that we were taught in order to educate ourselves properly. So I think you're on like a more of a, like you're viewing it from like a micro level, whereas what we're kind of talking about is the macro level. Because while the micro level is, of course, everybody should be taught to, treat others, as you would want to be treated, blah, 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 right? All of that good stuff. Everyone should be teaching that and everyone should follow it. Unfortunately, though, when even we as white people, when we teach white children that, we're not realizing that there's a skewed view of what it means to treat others because white supremacy has literally been so ingrained to us that we're unable, we think that we're doing things. Sometimes we do things that we think are nice are actually incredibly hurtful to other communities. And we don't know that because our way, the way that we've been taught was normalized for us. So we don't
let me
know.
ask you a question.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
so I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I have a question for you. In that whole context of what you just said, is it the community that's going to change that person, or is the person going to change that person's own self? So in other words, if the community is doing this, does it mean do you think it means that it's right for you to do it? Or as a person, can you change your mind and choose to go another way?
Okay, real quick, I'll answer that, Greg. I think when you talk about the educational part of it, I don't think there's very much education on to stop being racist, to be anti-racist, to make changes in our thoughts. There's not very many people that are like that are actively anti-racist and looking to get away from the racism. So I think that's where education comes in, and that's kind of why I'm on here speaking about it, because I think I agree with you that it's sorely needed, the education to, we've been this way for so long, for hundreds of years, and now it's like, oh, we're starting to wake up out of it, but there's still a lot of learning to do. There's still not a lot of places to go to, and honestly, in this country, it's not very accepted to be actively anti-racist. That's what you do is sit here and watch the comments, and I get people DMing me. I have people in my comments on my videos. I get the comments here. Me and Rexy get called all kinds of names every time we do this. So I think as we, and that's what I want to do is I'm trying to normalize being actively anti-racist. That's my goal. So
I get that. But here's my problem with the education side of that you just talked about. Most of the kids in the schools these days, they're getting taught opinion, not history. They're getting taught opinion. So how do you get education when the teacher is giving you her opinion on things? So yet again, it falls down to the person who you try to root common sense into the whole argument, for lack of better wording, and that person's got to be able to judge for themselves. No matter what group they're in, no matter what school they're in, if it's garbage, it's garbage.
I would say that the whole educational system is garbage. We never taught the real history of it.
Well, and not only that, our education system is literally was created by white supremacists. The daughters, what are they called again? Daughters of Liberate. What are they called?
Daughters of the Confederacy.
Daughters of the Confederacy. Literally, they're the creators of what we see as our curriculum. They're the base creators of the curriculum today. So that's what I mean by it creeps in everywhere, right? Like, and then now you've got various groups or people, whatever you want to call them, that are trying to even squash out the little bit of proper history or correct, accurate history that was being taught.
But when you go back on that and correct and accurate history, I see a lot of problems today with today's groups. Everybody's teaching how they feel about things, not necessarily the facts about things. So if they understand, like in school, if they understand how it was back then when Black people were slaves and all that garbage, they understand it from a historical perspective, regardless of opinion, then this white supremacy stuff right now shouldn't even exist.
Right, but we spent so many years lying when and white with like quite literally what the reference is, whitewashing history. That for how many? I'm in my mid to late 40s, and so I spent probably 30 years. I don't remember the exact year, but we'll say roughly 30 years, thinking that like Christopher Columbus was like the founder of the United States. I didn't even know about the fact that he was a whole ass rapist and a whole lot of other things. You know what I mean? Like, but why did we teach that? That literally, like, that to me is one of the weird things is I'm like, why did we even teach that to begin with? Why did we even say that Christopher Columbus founded founded America? Why do we have Christopher Columbus Day? Like, so it's all of that. Like, that's where, like, we can on an individual level all day long, try to teach our children, because that's, obviously we're always, the parents or the family is always a child's, first teachers, but then you have to release them out into the world. And so when you've got white supremacy in all the systems, unfortunately, we don't have the time to sit here and just wait for every individual, person to get on board with, not being an asshole. We have to actually go and like knock these systems down.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
If I may. So what you're talking about, Craig, is the rabbit hole theory. What we're trying to do is get at least started on it, and then we can scientifically prove that it's helping, and then we can make adjustments. But the rabbit hole theory is, and saying that there's nothing that's going to help, is just the wrong way to go about this from the start. So just wanted to add that in.
No, I get exactly what you're saying, brother. I do. But there's your kids, and I have 5 kids, so I come from 30 years of being a dad and trying to mold and trying to direct these kids the right way and at least a positive direction. I can't fix stupidity because some of my kids are, God forbid, dumber than the others. But what I'm saying is the ones that get it, get it. It doesn't matter how much you encourage them at home. It's the fact that when they're not at home, they're either with their friends or they're in school, right? So basically, as a parent, you have about maybe 5 hours a night to mold your kids. It should be done in school. My issue is school is teaching opinion, not history, not fact. It's opinion.
Who told you that?
Well, my wife is a teacher and has been a teacher for 16 years. And
so your wife teaches her opinion?
No, my wife teaches what the school curriculum tells her to teach. Okay, but she teaches it in her context. But it also falls back on, if the kids don't get it, the teachers get graded. That's the way it is here in Oklahoma. If the teachers get low grades, just like the kids on their tests, if the teachers get low grades, they get fired.
So with the curriculum that your wife teaches, correct? There's a base of American history, correct?
There is a base, yeah.
So while she's teaching that, does she incorporate the parts that they don't put into the curriculum? Oh, I guess not.
Did I hear a toilet flush? That was funny.
I don't know what happened.
What happened? Whatever
Yeah,
happened.
well, I'm on here because I wanted to say, y'all say a lot of we need to educate, and I see that there are I don't know if you guys want to be called Caucasian or white or whatever, but I just want to know, like, how would you guys educate if it's not being taught in the schools? And also, if it's not being taught in the schools and you couldn't Google, how would you educate your fellow man?
Rexy, you want this or you want me?
Hold on a second. I'm downstairs, so it's really loud.
Are you asking us individually what we do or what white people do as a whole?
Oh no, I'm not saying it. I just know that there are white people on here, so I'm saying, like, how would you guys? I just keep hearing on here that educate. We have to educate, and we have to. How would y'all educate specifically? Like, what do you think?
I think we would use some tools that teachers use, documentaries, movies, books. This is my second page. My first page got banned. And I have about 4 videos that I think are 2-3 minutes long, and they're just full of books that I just go, here's this book, here's this book, here's this book, here's this book, here's this. And I put the books out there, with certain, like the video with a certain theme, like either, an error in time or I put out a book with, you know, I put out a video with, you know, I hear all the, excuse me.
Would you think it'd be more progressive to put out a book or to actually speak the truth to your community?
Oh, I would love to make a book. I would love to write a book.
No, I'm not saying write a book. Like personally, like I feel like y'all could educate each other because personally, I was taught a long time ago. I don't know if this stands for you guys personally, but I was taught that white people are taught about their heritage. Like y'all know about slavery. Y'all choose not to acknowledge it. Some choose to overlook it, but you have, you know, people in your family, seniors that talk about the days of racism and all that. So, you know, as you being the younger generation, I feel like y'all should incorporate what you heard from the past to tell the people of the future, like, this is not right. This is why it's not right. I personally know that I had like a uncle who did this, or I had a grandfather that owned a ranch or a slave or whatever that stuff was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying not to say it too, you know.
I got you.
And I like that because you're right, because we do. And like, I don't know if you heard Joe's story, but it was a very kind of personal story about how, and I'm going to keep going back because that was a great story, but it was, you know, his lived experience of witnessing something that was racist. And for us, you know, like myself personally, my stepdad was absolutely terrible, you know, and the things he would say were just wild. You know, he passed away, I think about 15 years ago, and he was 80. So this is, you know, he grew up in that era. And you're right, those stories are important for us to share. And then also, what are we doing in those spaces? You know, because myself personally, and I definitely don't want to talk about religion or get into that piece of it, but I go sit in that space because that is a very white dominant space within my sphere of existence. And I speak very lovingly into the POC community, and regardless of what they say, I just continually speak it. I continually speak in those spaces. When I come home to my children, you know, I have 3 boys, so I think it is incumbent upon me to watch and manage them so that they don't become problematic in schools, because we know that, you know, the race of those children. And so I'm mindful of the things that my children, being white, could potentially be or become, not, you know, not necessarily because of what they learn in the home, but what they see on the internet with the incel movement, with the anti-POC movements that are out there. And it's important as a parent for me to understand where those threats are coming from, you know, to my children, to indoctrinate them and to make sure that they aren't part of that. And to make sure that they are actively anti-racist within the spaces that they occupy as well.
I feel like a lot of times I've heard a white person say this out their mouth, that they don't see color. They don't see color, they just see a person, you know? And I feel like that's an understatement. That's undermining a person, first of all, because you're not even acknowledging who I am. So for you to say you don't see color, that's ignorant. Not saying you guys said, I just feel like that comment, like, I don't see color, like, that's extremely, like, wow to me. But I feel like more open discussions and dialogue between the white community would essentially help people of color. And not even that, honestly, I feel a little bit like, not to tell you how to raise your kids or anything, but I feel like it should be a little more, you know, a little more sternness instead of leniency with the race factor. You know, if you get along, you get along. If you don't, you don't. I don't feel like it should be like that, because if more white people were active in this country about how this country is being ran, it wouldn't be ran like this, because y'all would be raising your sons and daughters knowing that they have better opportunities to go to Congress and become these politicians that's really out here for the community and helping, instead of, you know, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. They're lower income, or they they have the same rights we do, so they just got to make. But we all know, like, we have the same rights, but it's not the same circumstances that we get them under.
So willpower. I'll say this: I do that on my live. With the education, I do talk about my past. I do talk about my racist grandfather, my racist father. You know, as a kid, I remember my father driving down the street, and you know, it seemed like whatever he got cut off by a white guy, the white guy was a a-hole, but when he got cut off by a black guy, he was a racial epithet. And I remember, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking him, like, why does his skin color matter, but the white guy's doesn't? Ah, shut up.
Right.
You know,
It's
got blown
overlooked.
off and whatever. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. But I saw that as a little kid. I don't think I was 10 years old when I questioned him on that.
Right.
So, you know, it's just something that's, you know, kind of always been in me. And I never even met my grandfather, but I've heard some horrifically racist things about him.
Did
You know,
it
he
make
lost.
you become a better person though? Have you tried to advocate for
absolutely.
people of color and, you know?
Yes, man. Well, here's the thing. So because of where I grew up in an all-white neighborhood, and because of where I lived, we didn't live in a city, but they were doing the busing back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I got bused to an inner city school. I had my principal was a black woman. You know,
Mhm.
I had black teachers, fellow black students. So, you know, you're talking 12 years after Dr. King was assassinated, and I'm learning about Dr. King and Rosa Parks. I remember doing a play on Rosa Parks. Just I think that 3 years, and that 3 years for me was kindergarten, first, and second. What's that? It was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I think without that I wouldn't be the person I am today. I remember my father specifically saying when he found out that me and my sibling had to be bused to the inner city. I remember him specifically getting really mad and saying, if I would have knew this shit was going to happen, we would have moved further out into the suburbs.
Amazing.
You know, yeah, disgusting.
So with
But
that
again,
being
that was
said,
one of the best things that ever happened in my life.
right, but you know,
Go ahead.
so you were how old were you, like around the 70s, like when they were, you know, doing the protests and things like that? Were you old enough to be
Well,
in that?
I was born in 75.
Oh, okay.
So
you-
I was 5
you're not
years
that
old in
big.
1980.
Yeah, you weren't
Yeah.
Damn, John, she thought you were a boomer.
No,
No, I didn't say it. I was
What she said
Just
was,
messing with
and
John. I just like to mess with
no.
John.
I'm gonna clip this, and she said, "You're not that old." Yes,
Uh-huh,
willpower. I
uh-huh.
agree. I was not that old. That is the perfect way to say that.
You're not that old.
Yes, I
But I
love
appreciate
that.
you guys having this conversation. I think that it really needs to be expanded. I wish that more people were on here so they can voice their opinion. And also, I see some people of color in there that keep saying, "Oh, they're not teaching our history. They're not teaching their history." I went to a very, very black school in Baltimore, extremely black. Okay, very inner city, and they drilled a lot of African American history into us, very, very, very much. Like, I appreciated it. I didn't even know that so many people wasn't being taught like the way I was taught being raised. So that's why I'm very like, I'm forever going to ride with people of color for the most part. But I know the true struggle of African Americans in this country, and not just talking about the slavery part, because I feel like that's just like the most degrading part of it. But for them, from like the emancipation all the way up to where we are now, like, it's been really hard and a struggle for the black community, and to see us overcome so much and still not have like solid support of the white community, I feel like that's a big, like, I think it's crazy. Like, I feel like if you see a whole community just outgrow and just expand their whole situation coming from nothing, you would want to stand next to those people, like for good or bad, you know, just like, not to put y'all out there, like when a white person does something and a white community doesn't agree with it, y'all don't really like just bash them like that. Y'all have y'all little words about them, but then y'all move on. But you know, when it's a black person, it's like, oh, that's how those people are, and this and that, and that. Like, we got to stick together at some point. Like we just do, because at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we about to have like other countries come over here and kind of fuck us up, you know, seemingly. So, you know, at some point we gotta figure out like where we draw the line, like, and I feel like it starts in the home and in the communities, not even just, oh, I talked to my son, no, we were at our community. You know, when you go to your home associations meeting and all stuff like that, like I feel like race should be a topic, because that's one of the issues that's in this country about where people can live and things like that. So yeah, I appreciate this conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, wait, are you a full-fledged Maryland girl?
Yeah, all the way. Baltimore.
Same here. Where's your flag at? You got something with a flag on it, right?
Oh, Baltimore flag. Oh, my body?
No, or well, no, just Maryland flag, just anywhere in your house.
Yeah, I got the, you know, my Baltimore Ravens jersey. That's
right. Okay, I don't have that on right now. Normally I would, but I'm
yes,
still
big,
in my
big Ravens fan. Yes.
Such your pie hole, Big Bear. Don't be jealous, because we are pretty much whooping it this year. Don't be mad.
Yeah, and most black and white people get along in Maryland. So
okay, that was what my question. So I'm not gonna lie. So I've lived here my entire life in Maryland. I'm like 25 minutes south of Baltimore City, give or take a little bit. And I mean, I knew I lived in a bubble, but I just never knew how much of a bubble this place actually is.
Right. Yeah. Outside of Baltimore, it might get a little tedious, but inside of Baltimore, it's really not too much racism like that. I grew up with, you know, all types of nationalities around. But once again, that was my mother's parenting. She didn't just want us in the hood. She exposed us to everything. So
right. And like I mean, I definitely know, like, I mean, I'm not much younger than John, but younger. Just make sure everybody knows that I am younger than John. So, you know. But anyways, so but like I mean, I think Maryland did I mean, so you know, I went to elementary school in like the early 80s. So they did an okay job. I mean, they still had the damn Christopher Columbus shit. I don't even know if that, I hope they still don't, but I don't know if they still do. But I do feel like we learned a lot more than a lot of other states. Like when I talk to other people, like, and I'm baffled by that. I'm still trying to understand. I'm like, is it because we're not Southern, we're not Northern? Because I don't feel we got that, like, we definitely didn't get educated, like, you know, on American history the same way they do in the South.
Right.
By
Not
far.
at all. No,
Not at all.
Not at all.
Right? Like, not at all. And
Yeah,
we didn't get it, the education like the North either. Like, we didn't get the education like, oh, all the white people in the North deserve pats on the backs because they were out there doing, you know, we didn't get that either. So I'm like in some kind of way, sometimes I'm like, maybe people should come to Maryland and look at our history curriculum.
System is, well, the teachers back then, I don't know how the teachers are now, but the teachers when I was growing up, because I am 38, so I was in school like 90, 99, all that stuff. So our teachers were very much like diligent in the broad spectrum of American history. It wasn't just, oh, Christopher Columbus. This is Christopher Columbus in February, we have Black History Month, and you're going to learn everything you can about Black History Month. And that was like in everybody's school in Baltimore, I thought. So when I moved to Texas. So when I came here and I'm asking, like, I started working in the school system, I was asking little kids like, hey, you know, they're like, what's slavery and what's that? What's that? That's stuff my mommy talk about, like, oh shit, that's a problem.
Right.
So, yeah, we were, our curriculums were way more broad spectrum. I'm proud of Maryland.
I don't know if it was, I'm torn about, well, I'm not really torn about it. I don't know. Like when I was growing up, we watched Roots in school.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
From beginning to end.
With
discussions and we delved into it. And that's why I have such a hard time with these. And obviously it's white parents doing it that are like, oh, my child's being taught to, you know, hate white people or whatever. And I'm just like, what? Why? Like, I feel like when they talk about what they're being taught in specifically these states, and then what their children's reaction is, I'm like, what are you talking about at home?
Right,
Because
exactly.
that's a weird thing. Like, why would your child immediately identify with the slave master?
Exactly. Right. Like that's the character I should be right there. Like they just
Right.
naturally just think like, oh, that is insane. It's insane. But that's what I'm saying. It's not all white people. So you can't really just attack all. I know some really cool white people. I know some white people that was raised around black people. You know, they don't know they know they're white, but you know, they have their respect. They know, you know, who really taught them and who really raised them. So I don't know. And the rest of America, when you just go places, it's kind of it's culture shocking.
It is. Like,
Very much so.
I used to say I wanted to leave here because, you know, it's expensive as shit here.
Right.
So I was like, all right, once my kids are, you know, like gone to college, out of college, whatever, I'm out of here. Because I was like, I'm not going to need, you know, I don't need to worry about the education system. I don't need to worry about this, that, and the other thing. And now I'm getting to that point, and I'm like, every state I start to look into, I'm like, nope, can't go there now. Like,
yeah,
you know, because my thing is, even though I won't have kids in school, I don't want to be around a bunch of not informed people. Yeah.
Numbnuts. Yes, exactly. And then when you try to educate them or you try to like inform them of things, they just think like you just insane. Like, why are you thinking like that? Or who taught you that? Or where's your mind frame coming from? And I'm like, this is real life. This actually happened. Like, this is happening right now.
Right.
It's just because you're overlooking it doesn't make it disappear. Because it doesn't affect you, definitely doesn't make it disappear. So,
Right.
yeah.
All right, I sent you a follow. The
okay, I'll follow you back, girl.
You know, it's Maryland. Gotta, you know.
Okay.
Hopefully we can spread some, you know, some of the good things that do come from. Not that Maryland's perfect, but you know.
I mean, I've been to different states. I hold down Baltimore pretty strong. I know. You know, when you know things, you know. And Northerners are way different from Southerners, so we a little quicker. We see things and we're like, hold up, that's not right, or this is setting y'all back a couple years. And they're like, well, this how we like it here. So, oh no, I don't even like that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
All right, well, Power, I'm gonna
thank you
for coming up. I'm gonna drop you, and then we're gonna look for some more white people to talk to.
Okay.
You have a good day.
You too.
Have a good one. Who did Rock Sexy? Is that what it says? I didn't get my glasses.
Yeah, that's what it says. No, I didn't speak.
Okay.
Hi. You know, I was just listening. I actually hit it by accident, but since I was up there, I just, you know. First off, there was a conversation with somebody. The lady was
Oh, I can't hang up, guys. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Where the lady was referencing her and her friend going to
I got you.
Getting in trouble or whatever. I used to work as a teenager at Kmart, and literally I sit there and watch white people walk out the door knowing damn well they didn't pay for what they have. You know what I mean? And I looked through the book. Like, they used to actually keep a book. If you stole from them and they caught you, they take your picture and and you're sitting there with all the items you stole or whatever, and then you're in this banned book. And of course, majority of it was Black. And it's literally scientifically and statistically proven that older white people steal more than anybody, whether it's due to dementia or entitlement or whatever their reasoning is.
Or both.
Yeah, or both. But at the end of the day, I feel like one of the major issues is, of course, my father used to have well, I'm sure everybody's heard this or people have heard this before. If you feed a person shit long enough and call it steak, whenever they eat steak, the first thing they'll say is, this tastes like shit. So the problem that we're having is the lies have been fed for so long through history that when the truth comes out, first thing that people say is bullshit. You know, this is shit. This is not true. And where white people come in is you have to steadfast on the truth. You have to stand 10 toes down on the truth. There's no buckle, there's no waiver, there's no maybe, there's no, well, it could or may. It literally has to be no. And the truth is the truth. Because anything that's done in the dark is going to come to the light. And the problem is all white people shit is coming to the light. And a lot of them aren't liking it. A lot of them, of course, are perpetuating, what they've been in bred and taught. And we have to stand 10 toes down, and you have to stand 10 toes down with the community. One of the major things is the population. There are not predominantly white people all over this world, and especially in America. There are a lot of people that come over here from other countries, and their visa and their paperwork puts them down as white to boost up that population number, when that is not truth. I know, because my cousin was married to an African, and his paperwork says white or Caucasian, and he's African and black as night. So the numbers are also skewed there when it comes to your population count. And when it comes to education, one of the biggest problems that we're having, of course, is first off, the truth is not being taught. But secondly, we're grouping all children into one classroom that all learn differently. So that's one of, to me, the major issues to the school to prison pipeline. You can't take my visual child who learns visually and put them in with a child who can independently just read a book and be fine. I feel like our children, our school system should be restructured to where our.
Okay. My bad. All right, let's get back on topic here. We have no one in the request that wants to come up and speak, but
if you don't mind, I just wanted to pose a question and get about it. I really don't have much to say.
Okay, yeah, sure. Ask your question and then sure.
I don't want to hold you up too much, but I got a question that's really just dawned on me. I hear a lot of the things that white supremacists say, and it seems like they got a sense of fear mongering going on among the the white supremacist crowd. And based off what you gather, because you're going to see more than I do as far as what white people say, is there a sense among the racist white people? Is there a sense of fear? Like, do they feel like there's going to be a race war and that we're going to attack them or something? That's all I gotta ask.
Can I go first now?
Go ahead.
Okay, so racism has been used specifically to control white people by fear for a long time. So like when they put the prohibition, I guess that's what it's called, on I don't know if we can say it, on the flour, if everybody knows what I'm talking about. So when, I guess you can say marijuana, when marijuana was made illegal, one of the ways that it was or how racism was used to get more white people to support it being becoming illegal was by scaring white people and saying some pretty horrid things about what the effects of marijuana has on other non-white men. Right? So yes, fear is a huge part of white supremacy, a huge part.
I think you have to say devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce. That's what I was talking about. In case anybody didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But if I may also, Fox News is the biggest proponent for all this racism, because they say some people say this and that, and what they're trying to do is gin up. They're trying to make it seem like they're going to lose their way of life, which is Christianity and white people or white people having all the power. So that's another thing that's happening among the conservatives, because they're just being fed lies. So that's just one of the many things that is being perpetuated by Fox Lies or Fox TV. The
Absolutely.
only one that got sued for $787.5 million for lying.
And when we look at that fear, it is a recruiting tool that they use. Kind of going back to what I had said, I think a while ago in the live, having been in the military and even around the time of 9/11 and after, when we looked at the domestic terrorist groups in the United States, they were white Christian nationalists, about 95% of that. And when we were being taught about how they indoctrinate, how they may potentially speak to us to indoctrinate us into their way of thinking, it is very fear-based. That you need to be afraid that there are millions of people flooding over the border, that they are coming in droves and they're going to start taking your property, your homes, your belongings. This fear is what they use because white people in their privilege don't have to look at racism. They live very comfortable lives when they pretend not to see race. And so when you attack that safety that they believe they have, that doesn't really exist, they use fear. They use it online to indoctrinate your children through incels. They use many, many tools, but fear, absolutely. But not necessarily that the POC are going to destroy something, but that their safety is gone. That's what they see.
Can I say something? Oh, hey everyone, by the way.
Hold on,
Go ahead, my bad,
hold
go
on.
ahead.
So 1 second, Haley. Hazy. Just real quick. I think a part of that too is, you know, when you learn real history and it challenges, and it could, you know, actually like destroy your you know, your belief in American exceptionalism. And I think a lot of them don't want to face that. I think that's a big issue with that, you know. But go ahead, Hazy.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask Val, Sid in the comments, and BH to maybe come up and shed some light on what they're saying, because she's making claims that Black people owned more slaves in America than white people did, and things like that. So I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just trying to figure out what are their sources, where's this information coming from? Like, send me a link, please, because that's the first time I've ever heard of that.
So
sources.
I watched a documentary on Netflix just very recently that addressed, it actually has Samuel L. Jackson in it, and it addresses the idea that in Africa there were a group, a POC group that were responsible for selling their people to the slave owners. And it does actually speak on that. I typically do not ever talk about that because I am not POC and that is not my lane. But I did watch that. I did not go back and verify anything about it, but it addresses that, and it addresses the sorrow that the POC community there in Africa feels and what they've done as far as reparations go.
That's not what they were trying to say, though. They were trying to say that Black people in America owned more slaves than white people. Not that there was some Africans who sold other Africans during the slave trade, because that is a well-known fact that people try to bring up to negate everything else and try to point the finger in the other direction. But those the people who were in Africa who were quote unquote slaves, it was completely different from what the enslaved people experience in America. And so the Americans lied to those Africans, explaining to them that they were going to treat them well and it was going to be the same type of thing that they had going on over there, and it really wasn't. So yeah.
Yes, perfect. Exactly. And then I think we had spoken earlier in this live, because that's, again, a white supremacist talking point when they bring up that POC owned other POC. And we know for a fact that POC purchased other POC to free them from slavery so that they wouldn't have to face that. I know that there were some POC that held up white supremacy as well, which again is not my lane to speak on, and so I tend to stay away from it. But I would recommend that to these people that they need to go sit, not comment, but just sit in POC spaces and listen. And they'll learn the true stories in history. They'll understand better these things, because that's terrible to come in and think that saying that POC owned other POC makes what America did to the POC community valid somehow. That's disgusting.
I will say I've heard, obviously we've all heard that white supremacy talking point. However, and I didn't see the comment, but what is it? Hazy is saying, I've not seen a white supremacist say that Black people owned more enslaved people.
Okay.
That's a new lie. That's a new lie. That we, that'll be. I don't know why. I hope that idiot was just literally trying to be an a-hole, and there isn't actually people walking around thinking that.
Well, there was another person agreeing with them in the comments, and it was just, I wanted to come up here and kind of call them out and encourage them to come up and speak their truth and give us some resources. Because like you said, I've never heard that claim before.
No, and it's...
So if you're one of those 22% that read at a 5th grade level, there is a guy named Mr. Jones, and there's another guy named Liv who actually went to school in Florida and learn actual they didn't learn critical race theory. They learned, what is that called? They learned in Florida African American studies. So they can break it down to you fact by fact instead of you going on to Fox News and spreading lies. Go ahead.
Oh, I absolutely love Mr. Jones. Oh, sorry.
Were you talking about Reed Thomas Sowell? No thanks. I'm not into conservative. No thanks. I don't follow conservatism at all. When we're talking about race, you got to remember, from day one, we continued race-based chattel slavery. And that was the United States preserving a traditional value. The traditional value that had been going on for 148 years, which was race-based chattel slavery. So, we continued that in 1776. The South seceded to preserve slavery, to preserve what? The traditional value of slavery. That was a conservative thing. Then you move into, we have the New Deal.
This
is
Sparta!
To preserve Jim Crow and the white supremacist way of life that we had for 3/4 of this country's existence. I don't understand how we don't see, you have conservatives, they love their rights and freedoms, but when you take them away, if they're so great, they're also devastating, right? Well, for 3/4 of this country's existence, black people didn't have the same rights and freedoms as white people. So wouldn't that damage them? Wouldn't that hurt their life? Wouldn't that affect them in some way? Probably in multiple ways, I would have to say. So, yeah, no, thank you. I'm not going to read Thomas Sowell. I'm not going to listen to Candace Owens. I'm not going to Jesse Lee Peterson. There's a colada with that guy.
Can I invite up, hey, Bean, or not Bean, what is it? Oh, Ben Bustin. Oh, okay. Even better. Ben Bustin, come on up. I don't know what one of these bad neighborhoods you're talking about. Could you come up and describe it, and I'll be more than happy to do anything you request. I'll go to one of these bad neighborhoods, quote unquote, that you are suggesting that we go to. I'll do it. I'll do it on camera too. So come on up and tell me about one of these bad neighborhoods.
He thinks he's trying to dog whistle with and call bad neighborhoods as something else.
Right. That's why I want him to come up here and describe to me what a bad neighborhood is.
And Joseph Carroll. So you're going to live in an echo chamber. I mean, I read like the first chapter of his book, and I was like, no. It's no offense, but it supports white supremacy. That's what conservatism is.
Wait, John, take that back. Don't say no offense.
Sorry.
If it supports white supremacy,
take offense, Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph needs to take offense to it.
Sorry, I'm getting a little tired. I had lunch and I'm ready to. We may end up stopping alive soon.
Gotcha.
Beats.
Sleepy. But I'm I hope Ben Bustin comes up. I'm just curious about one of these bad neighborhoods. Where can I find one?
Hey, Silver Saint, thank you for your service. I was also in the Army.
Oh, well, thank you both.
Army, yep.
Yes.
Army here too. And speaking on that, do you know we have 22 veterans a day who self-unalive? And the conservatives talk about how atrocious that is and how we need to help our veterans. But when you look at who's really helping the veterans, it would be the Biden and Harris administration. They've put out the PACT Act, the Services Act, and the COLA Act for veterans. But do you know what would really, really help the veterans is universal health care. But do you know why veterans can't have universal health care? Because that would mean giving the POC community universal health care as well.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Playing victim
100%.
again. Jesus Christ. Don't you guys get tired of talking about the same thing?
History, Mike. You don't even
hi,
know what you're
Mike, the
talking about,
potato.
Mike.
Hello.
Mr. Potato, listen. You got to understand something. We were at a point in this country where the white sociologists and the white psychologists were saying, you know what? You know how we end the black problem? We don't give them health care. They actually said that they thought black people were going to die off in this country, like as a whole group, because we were not giving them adequate health care.
But black people do have health care.
But I'm saying that was the goal about 130 years ago. That was the goal.
Yeah, but you guys are talking about stuff from 130 years ago. I mean, the whole racism thing, it's a boogeyman that the Democrat
boogeyman. It's white supremacy.
Spread that
when
as
does it stop?
Propaganda.
So you're of colors experience. Is that what you're doing?
I'm sorry. What were we saying? You cut off a little bit.
You're invalidating every single black person and person of color by saying that statement. So, can you elaborate?
Oh my God! There you go again, making it out to be victim mentality. You guys don't get tired of this,
Mike? We victimize people in this country.
Okay,
shouldn't we stop victimizing people? Shouldn't you be more concerned about people being victimized in the greatest country on earth, right? This country is so great. So why are we still victimizing people?
Well, I just want Hazy to show me proof of how I'm racist.
Just the way you're talking. I mean, I don't have proof. It's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion. I would just like for you to have some sources that support what you're claiming. So.
Okay, so I just want to make a point. So right now, we could all go to the same stores. We go to the same. Most of my class, half my class was African American. We all got along very well. There was no talk about racism. There was no talk about.
Are you talking about when you were a child?
Yeah.
Okay.
How old are you?
Did you guys talk about bills?
28.
20 years ago.
When you were 8 years old, were you out? Were you and your buddies talking about whether or not you were going to be able to pay the phone bill that month?
I'm sorry, I meant to say high school, but
Okay, even still, in high school, were you guys talking about how you were going to pay the rent, the mortgage, your car payment, your car insurance? Were y'all talking about that stuff?
yeah, we were too busy talking about video games. Pretty much.
Exactly. Thank you for walking directly into my point.
So what?
The concept of I'm tired of hearing people say, well, when we were kids, yeah, because you were kids. Kids don't talk about serious shit. We know this. You just proved it.
Okay.
So do you understand why your perception, do you understand why your perception as a child about racism, especially you're white, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as a white child, when you didn't even talk about the things that all people have to worry about, like rent or mortgage, car payments, etc. Y'all didn't talk about that as children when all people did. Why on earth do you think it represents something that you as an 8-year-old weren't out there talking about racism?
But years ago, this conversation was never happening because nobody.
Because you were a child, sir. You were a child.
Yeah, but I was around.
20 years ago, these conversations were happening amongst adults, not children.
Adults a lot of the times, and they weren't talking.
They were having conversations with other adults. Sir, you are literally younger than my child. I promise you, we were having these conversations 20 years ago. I promise you that.
Right, and I don't disagree with you. If you mind me asking, you're white as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what does this conversation benefit you?
What? Do you think do you think everything I do for the simple sake of benefiting me?
From my guess, you're trying to be like that white savior.
No, I'm trying to understand why Americans are so goddamn dumb.
You're making it seem like
Acknowledging.
I'm with the good group. I'm not like the rest of them.
No, you're not, because you're dismissing the struggles of POC in America. So what do you mean? Just because you weren't having these conversations, just because you weren't exposed to racism, supposedly,
Let me ask you guys something.
does not mean that it's not real, and does not mean that it's not valid.
Okay, let me ask you something. How is it that they are 12% of the population and commit 50%?
That's not true.
How is it that you don't know how to read statistics at your big age of 28? How is that possible? Did you get an American education? Did you go to college? Did you ever take a math class?
Yes.
Do you know how to read the fine print when you look at data?
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. Go do all of those things and then come back with that same stupid ass literal white supremacy talking.
Oh, here we go. White supremacy talking.
Yes.
So I've been
Because you don't understand the data, and that's what white supremacy banks on, is that you being an idiot. And you are succeeding.
Mike.
You are succeeding, Mike the potato.
Mike, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that when you look at the FBI.gov stats that white people commit millions more crimes every year in this country compared to white people? Compared to black people?
That white people are just as bad.
No. Not just as bad. We commit millions more crimes every year in this country. So if I'm walking around, if I'm in America, who should I be more weary of? Who should I be more if I'm looking for crime, who should I be looking at? But yet you want to talk about black people. So here's the thing, Mike. So back in the 1890s, okay, they came out with the first crime stats, black crime stats. It was 25 years after the end of the Civil War, okay? And what white sociologists and what white psychologists did was said, look at these crime stats. They're committing 10% of the crime. Look at them. It's proof that black people can't live in a white man's world. They were saying stuff like that in the 1890s, the white sociologists and white psychologists. But the problem is that when they talked about, white people committing crimes, the white people that were here and the immigrants coming over from Europe, what they never did was vilify our white skin. They never linked criminality to being white. But yet they did that to black folks. And that was done 130 years ago. And people like you fall for that today. And people like you talk about black on black crime and look at, black people are so dangerous. Oh, come on, man. It's been a lie. It's been white supremacist propaganda that's been pushed since the 1890s. Again, They linked criminality to blackness. They wanted to, it's been they've been looking to vilify black skin. They've been doing it for hundreds of years in this country. And that's the type of shit that we as white people need to stop falling for. And we need to educate. And that's why the education and learning about the past is so important. Because you want to talk about, you want to use a racist trope today that was started 130 years ago and then say, well, I don't want to acknowledge the past. I don't want to look at the past. But if you don't even understand where that comes from. We have to start doing that as white people. And a lot of this, almost, I would say all of it, linked, if you get a link back to, white supremacy, to what, white supremacist talking points, white supremacist indoctrination. That's what we have to stop doing. It's horrible to absolutely, to link someone's crime to their skin color and then vilify them as we do in this country, because we never, ever link anything bad like that to our whiteness. When there is
a shooting, like a mass shooting, what does everybody? All I hear on TikTok is, "Oh, it's white people."
But you know what we never do? We never turn around and say, "Well, that's linked to our whiteness," and vilify white people for crimes. We don't do it. That's what I'm saying,
Mike,
man. That's
you know what they do? You know what Fox News does?
What's that?
Oh, he was just having a bad day. He's been in the National Guard for 18 years. He's just going through a mental crisis right now.
Right.
It was funny how 3 days after he did that, then all of this stuff started to come out that he went to a psychiatrist. He had PTSD. Bullshit.
No, Mike, I missed specifically who you were talking about.
What was that?
I missed specifically who you were talking about. The guy in Maine?
Happening from
yeah.
From the white people.
Well, it's usually mostly all shooters, but I wasn't sure who was talking, but I'm a conservative and I don't even listen to Fox News. For me, I think it's just
it was a conservative who did that. It was a MAGA.
So Mike, I'm gonna calm down and I'm gonna be patient with you. So one of the things, do you understand the difference between a conviction and an arrest?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you understand why like numbers that are based off of arrests are going to be very different than numbers based off of convictions?
Correct.
Okay, then do you also know how like if you were to add a third number in there, and that would be the number of exonerations? Do you understand? Do you know what an exoneration is?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you understand how the numbers that you look that you're repeating, and I'm willing to bet you've never actually looked at the data point, because if you did, I mean, have you ever, or are you just repeating something that you, and you can be honest, I won't yell at you.
No, I looked it up. It was on the FBI website.
Okay, so then why did you not read the part where it specifically states that it's arrests?
It's been a while, but I believe I did.
But you chose to repeat that anyways. Why?
To be honest, that's all I can remember.
But you understand why that perpetuates racism?
Oh my God! Can I ask you something, Rexy? Do you? I want your honest opinion. Do you believe that the police drive around and they're like, "Oh, look at that colored man. Let me go stop him."
So I mean, I'm sure there are
100%.
some.
100%.
I'm sure there definitely are some that do, but I also believe that because of the way that white supremacy has been literally ingrained, as I've said throughout this live, within our systems, I think that there's that most white people don't even understand our own implicit biases that have been banged into our head. So do I think that there's people that do I think all cops wake up every day and are like, I can't wait to harm? No, I don't. But what I do think is that when they're approaching a situation, their implicit biases 1,000% affect their reaction and how they handle a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Do you disagree with that, Mike the Potato?
No, that's kind of interesting.
Can I add something to that as well?
It's true.
So I live hold on, let me get out of this echo. I live 15 minutes away from a predominantly Black neighborhood, okay? And in my neighborhood, it's predominantly white. I mean, it's a mixture of everybody, but it's predominantly white. Okay, I never have cops ride through my neighborhood with their high beams on at night. But if I drive 15 minutes down the road to the predominantly Black area, every single night there are cops driving down their roads and through their neighborhoods with their high beams on, just looking to ruin somebody's night, basically.
Right. I just want to acknowledge this comment. Tall and sexy. Somebody has to check me for using the word color. What do you want me to call them? Holographic?
Black people. You don't say colored. Colored is a term from the 50s, for Christ's sakes. Yeah, it's not black. It's not colored people. It's black people. You can't say that. You're 28 years old and you don't know that. Come
Well,
on.
because I've been on other lives and I've said black and they've been like, no, you can't say that. It's like, oh, so
I've
when am I
never
gonna
heard
say
anybody say that.
Is my go-to, and I've never had a problem in any space when I say POC.
Gotcha, Grammy.
Right, that's what I say. POC, because you can't say any color on this app. You can't say white, can't say black, can't say green, can't say yellow. You can't say no colors on this app.
Damn, they're that they're that serious, huh?
Yeah, they're that serious. You get banned.
Damn. Well, I
It's
appreciate your
stupid,
time,
but
guys.
yeah.
I'd like to answer kind of piggyback onto that question that Mike asked about the police.
Silver, real
yes.
quick. And it's not blacks, it's black people.
Whatever the cheap.
Not, you know,
Yeah,
just like we say white people and black people.
We are going. Dang, it's like walking on eggshells. My God.
So when I
unless-
look at what people, what things like
Yeah, it's got a set. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Did he get kicked or something?
Did he get in trouble?
I don't know why he why he dropped out. I'm not sure.
So I think he doesn't take into consideration that coming up into spaces like this where you have between 60 and 100 people and doing the misinformation that he did, people are going to scroll in and out and just catch what he said. And so he is building up that notion that POC commit more crime, they're more dangerous. He pushes that rhetoric, and to me that's dangerous when they start doing that if we can't correct them right away, because it's not necessarily that the police are out there saying, oh, there's a POC, I'm going to go after him. It's that people like Mike come in and push the ideology that the POC community is criminal in nature in a whole. And then the people that heard him are now going to run off to their police friends and speak that way. And then the police are going to go out with that mindset. They're going to go out with that family indoctrination, that white indoctrination that we talk about.
Yep.
And sorry, I just hopped up in the box. Could I just say something really fast?
Sure. Hi, Sky.
Hi. I'm 26, by the way, just so you get that age verification.
Are you white?
I am, yes.
Okay. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
so I hopped up because of Mike, but just a quick history lesson. The history of policing in America. If you don't know what that history is, I highly suggest Googling that, Mike. And yes, Google is not a reputable source, but Google provides reputable sources. And I highly recommend that you go up and look history of policing in America. I don't care about Rome. I care about America. So that's the first point. The second point, the reason that we don't use words like that is because there are humans. And so that's why we say Black people, the Black community, because the history of the other words are to dehumanize Black people, and that is a very white supremacist way of thinking. So it was just very concerning to hear him speak, and I just wanted to make those 2 points. The history of policing in America is inherently racist, and because of that, we needed a massive reform of that system. Are we ever going to see it happen in our lifetimes? I sure hope so, and I will advocate that until the day that I am not on this earth anymore. But using sources like the FBI and things like that, they are inherently racist systems, and so any source that comes from that, I will not consider reputable, pertaining deconstruction, things like that.
Not only that, but they also read it wrong anyways. That's the amazing part. That's the wild part, is they still screw it up.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
It doesn't matter if we send them correct sources, they're just going to misinterpret it.
Yeah, that's definitely been my experience, especially going into spaces where a lot of YT people have not deconstructed. But how I'm right now trying to combat the systemic racism and this white supremacist way of thinking is by educating myself and then going out there and trying to educate other YT people, right? Because it's not on the BIPOC communities to educate us anymore. They've been educated. And to expect any BIPOC community to re-traumatize themselves and educate us on our own ignorance, that is also inherently racist. So coming up into a panel and expecting other people to educate you, that is one of the most obvious white privilege way of thinking.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Just real quick, I think I'm reaching my end here. I think I've been on since like 9:30, so I think I'm gonna get going and
All right, go take a nap.
Yes, thank you so much for letting me in y'all's space.
absolutely. Thank you for coming up and contributing. Silver, Hazy, the amazing Rexy, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody who tapped the screen, everybody who contributed, everybody who gave gifts, thank you so much. I don't know. We might do this again in a little bit. I think I'm gonna catch a nap and then we'll see what happens. But thank you, everybody. I appreciate you, and good conversation, and gonna try to continue normalize being actively anti-racist. And all right, I'm done.
All right. Yeah, and I don't know why, but they keep saying you're supposed to close while we're up here, so close.
Yep. All right, later, guys.
Bye.
Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's fair.
Make sure that they hear me loud and clear if they ever wanna beef with me. Not a racist, I hate equally. Get in my face in black or white, it doesn't matter, I'ma break your teeth. It's like Joyner broke the internet, we're not a racist, and the song was great, but truthfully, what I'm amazed with is the racist in response to it. Black people saying a white dude snapped, but a black dude didn't in response to it. Listen, I'ma make this black and white, get it black and white, skip it, let me get back to writing, and back to writing. I don't mean writing songs, I mean writing wrongs. That's the type of shit I'm on till my life is gone. I'm a rapper and an activist. Fuck it, I'm a raptivist. Trying to change the world, not just getting y'all to clap this shit. I give a fuck how they react to this, cause that's been a deciding factor. If I did half of this shit, I haven't. Cause the truth is, I've been here for years, you just now see me. Proof big, you can all thank Nick, cause he now a genie. Cause I wish the motherfucker would and you did. I don't start shit, all I start is movement. Like, guess I gotta make this shit in black and white. I don't give a shit about who black or white. Racists trying to make it so we can unite. Keep talking fucks, you motherfucker.
Nobody panics when things go according to plan. If tomorrow I tell the press that like a gangbanger will get shot, nobody panics. because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds.